your exclusive 1953 Omen U.S. Constitution lithograph while supplies last. That's SalemEventStore.com.
God bless, and welcome to God's Healing Answer, a talk show created to encourage its listeners as we discuss relevant topics in a postmodern world. This show is created by Pastor Barbara Potop and is hosted by Pastor Mike Husley. Let's check in now with Pastor Mike as we discover that Jesus is God's healing answer.
Well, God bless everybody. Welcome again to God's Healing Answer. Here we are again, live, Kkvv Radio. You know what I like about live, Mary?
We're not dead.
Well, that's a real plus, but the another plus is people can call in.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not pre-recorded. They can call in, and so if you'd like to do that, our topic today is fully known by God.
Good one.
And so what we mean by that is that as an individual, God knows you as if you were the only one that existed. In other words, you have His undivided attention at all times.
Wow.
And so that's miraculous. That's supernatural. And so that's encouraging. And so anyway, that's the topic today, and we're going to get into that after a few things. We just want, from the get-go here, let people know that this is a live show. Mm-hmm. You can call in. We'd love to hear from you, but we like to stay focused on the topic, and that's why I mentioned the topic, talking about how excited you are, because when you talk to God, you really feel like you have His full attention. He's not distracted with the other 8 billion people in the world. It's as if you're the only one there. And so we're happy about that and excited. I want you to call in, folks, and kind of share a little bit about your story, about how that works into your day and your conversation with God. So The number here is 702-650-5588. I know I said that fast, and here's a neat way to look at this. 702-650-KKVV. Now that's creative.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know if our engineer over here in the booth, Charles, if he created that. I know he didn't, but he's going to come up with some creative stuff.
Yes, he is.
So
just
we know
look
that.
At him.
We're glad he's here. Charles is newer to KKVV, and welcome aboard. We're glad you're here with us. If you do call in, you're going to hear from Charles. He will pick up, and then he'll let us know that we got someone on the line, and then we'll be able to talk with them. We're excited about that. And I came prepared today because I have a couple of gift cards for those who decide to call in. We do have Amazon is always fun, and then Starbucks will, help you get motivated if you're feel like you need that, I call it midday motivation. If I get a little bit slow and don't feel like doing nothing, have a little bit of Starbucks, you'll get a lot more done.
That's true. It's helpful.
There's nothing like coffee and Jesus. Between the two, Jesus first, actually. Jesus and coffee.
Yeah.
You can do a Jesus, coffee, and KKVV.
Or maybe both at the same time is what I would do. Yeah.
It's good stuff. Okay, so feel free, folks, to call in 702-650-5588. I'd love to hear today from our good friend Johnny. And Johnny was one of our co-hosts, and he went off to Biola University. We'd love to hear from him.
Yeah.
And so, Johnny, if you're out there, you're listening in, give us a call. Let's talk a little bit about how things are going for you in school right now, and how you can relate to how God's got you got His full attention, and how He's walking them through the challenges of being in college for the first time. Well, Mary, do you want to go ahead and just give a little bit of information on the church that we're from, the best you can, and I'll just kind of fill in the blanks?
Okay, we're from Trinity Life Center, and the center is all central to Las Vegas.
That's good.
And it's, I would say, about a half a mile from the Strat.
Yeah.
They call it the Strat now.
They
Stratosphere Tower,
Yeah.
which, really it's kind of like a pinpoint. It's a marker.
It is.
It's a landmark to find our church.
Anywhere I go, it's like, hey, man, the church is like 1 mile from there. So if I get turned around, it's like, wow, I work all the way over there. But yeah, so Trinity Life Center Church, we're on 1000 East St. Louis, and we're right next to the refurbished Baker Park, which is really neat.
Really nice.
And then the brand new Fremont Middle School. So it's just like all, beautified around there.
It's so much nicer than it was.
You'll see our City Impact Senior Complex there, and it just looks really neat. And we have services at 10 o'clock every Sunday, and we'd love for you to come and be a part of. And, of course, you and I are always excited about the 9 o'clock donuts.
Yeah, if we get there early enough to get one.
Yeah, they go quick.
They do.
But you can come at 9 and not just eat a donut. You can go to Connect Point Sunday School. You can go to a prayer meeting.
You can take your donut and coffee
You can.
to the Bible study.
You can. Not into the worship center, but
No.
you can take your coffee. But anyway, all of that. And then if you would like to just check us out on the website, because that's what you do, then you can go ahead and check us out on trinity-life.org. Trinity-life.org. You'll see our main page. Please go down to the bottom where you see the kids' episodes.
Children's ministry.
The
I
children's
think it
ministry, because
says on
that's
the main
you and
page.
I. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And so believe it or not, even though we sound so professional at KKVV, we act like a bunch of kids on Sunday.
Well, we play puppets also,
We
so you can
Believe
use
it or
your
not,
imagination
we do
on
all
that.
stuff. Okay, well, our prayers are answered, Mary.
What?
And we got
Oh.
Johnny. Johnny's actually on the line. So, Johnny, how you doing there, man? Good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, Johnny.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man. Johnny on the spot. Johnny on the
I
spot.
like that.
Hey, good to hear from you, Johnny. I missed your call today. Sorry about that. I saw it, couldn't answer, and that's what caused me to say, man, I hope Johnny calls in today. And first of all, give us an update on how things are going at Biola.
Everything is going really well right now. Between my classes, I'm really enjoying them right now, and getting connected with, just the routine, here at Biola. Just being a student.
You know what's cool, Johnny, is one of your part-time instructors is the worship leader, Matt Redman.
Yes, it is. Yeah, he is partnering with our class this semester, and he is literally just like helping us, just kind of write music and stuff, and he's listening to us and giving us feedback and everything. So that's such a blessing.
Wow.
Yeah.
him.
Wow, that's super, man. Just to think about that a professional music artist like that. We all know him. We hear him on the radio. We see him at worship conferences, and so that's really great. And I'm happy for you. So we're kind of catching you off guard a little bit, but our topic today really is fully known by God. And so tell us a little bit about what is it like for you? Like when you're praying to God, do you really feel like you have His full attention, undistracted, and that it's like you're the only one that exists at that moment? Do you feel like that? Explain that a little bit to us if you can.
Yeah. So when I'm praying to God, and personally, if I'm doing it, personal, I am literally just me and God. It's just one-on-one, and so, within that, it just becomes really intimate because that sets apart the world from who God is.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the word you chose, intimate.
Yeah.
It's like into you. He knows Johnny, and it's because you're spending time with him, and you know him better because you're spending one-on-one time with him, and that just has so many benefits to it. I mean, that's a whole nother episode, a whole nother talk show, is the benefits from prayer and spending time with God. And so I know that's been fueling your ability to press on in school over there with all the newness that you're experiencing with all of your surroundings, everything. And I'm so glad you're sticking with it, of course. And you don't have a choice, by the way. You're going to stick with it all 4 years, 5 years, whatever it takes. But we're encouraged because we know you're coming back next week.
Yeah, next week.
This week.
This week.
Wow.
Yeah. You're coming in when? Thursday?
I'm coming in Thursday evening, so everybody knows now.
Yeah. They're like, hey, Johnny's coming back in town. Well, good, Johnny. You got any prayer requests at all?
Wow, just for God to give me strength and wisdom to just keep seeking Him and to know the outcome of doing God's will and to just stay close to God and not this world.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's a great request, and that's one that should be regular in all of our lives. And we're going to put you on our prayer list, and we're going to be praying for you. You're already on my prayer list, but I'm going to add that. And then when I see you on Thursday or Friday, definitely Friday, I got a gift card for you. We thank you for calling in, and you have a choice of either Starbucks or Amazon. And so glad you called in, Johnny. Thank you so much. Have a great week, what's left of it, and we will see you soon.
See you soon, Johnny.
Bye, Pastor Mike.
See you later, my brother. God
I think
bless.
he just used his puppet voice there.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I like about Johnny is whenever you talk to him, it always sounds like he's having the best day of his life. No
I've
matter
never
what.
seen him. I've never seen him
every
upset.
time he's always excited, and you just think, is this the best day of your life? If you asked him, he would say yes.
Yep.
But he's like that every single day.
Well,
he has
he's-
the joy of the Lord.
You know, he's got good people around him. He stays tied in, of course, with the Lord, but also with church friends and relationships,
Yes.
and that's all I can accredit it to. And he's got a wonderful aunt who has, supported him in the past 4 or 5 years, and that's been a huge deal as well. And
Yeah.
so,
Like a
you know,
mom.
yeah,
Just like
we
a
just
mom.
he calls her Monty, which is mom and auntie put together.
That's very special.
Well, so the topic today, again, we want to make sure people understand that people realize that God knows them intimately, just like Johnny had said, and because God has that ability, and so He knows each one of us on an individual basis according to each one's needs and experiences. So whatever it is that we're going through, God is fully aware.
That's right.
And because a lot of times, like when I go through stuff, I'll be like, Lord, is this really what you wanted to happen? I mean, did you? Did you take your eyes off of my life here for a second, or what?
Yeah.
You know, and that's not the response we want to have. We got to realize that God is nothing gets past His desk without His signature first,
That's
without His
correct.
stamp of okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and so we want to remind our listeners of that, and you need to continue to remind me of that. You know, Mary, you're always a real positive person, so
Thank you.
you always help me and remind me that, hey, you know, God is good. Romans 8:28, God uses.
Romans 8:28, boy.
Yeah, that's what
That's a good one.
we live by that, and the Lord is so good and reminds us, you know, through the scriptures as well. In Matthew 10:29, it says, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside of your Father's care, and even the very hairs of our head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows."
Yeah.
Such a good scripture. I'm so glad that the Lord inspired that on Matthew to write that, because it reminds us that, listen, God cares about the lilies in the field, and they're just beautiful flowers, but how much more valuable are His own children? Do you think He's going to neglect you? You think He's not going to care for you? You think He's not going to watch over you and walk you through your circumstances?
Well, here's the thing. If He sent His only Son to die for your sins, if He would do that much, would He not do all the lesser things? He did the best thing that could be done for us.
Yeah.
Would He not do all the other things, the smaller things?
Sure.
Of course He would.
Right. He gave us the greatest gift there could ever be, and the other thought too is that the realization is that we're fully known and treasured. I love some of these words, treasured by God, and that should fill us with gratitude. You know, just as you're saying, you know, He loved us so much He gave us His Son. You know, wouldn't He give us much less than that? I mean, it'd be a lot easier to give lesser things and give up your own Son for our salvation, and He did all those things. So that should give us joy in our hearts. That should give us joy in our minds to know that He cares for us that much, and that should fill us with gratitude. So we don't have to. The neat thing is we don't have to fight for His affection. We don't have to work hard to gain His acceptance. We don't have to push through the crowd to say, hey, I want to get to Him, and will I even get to Him? No, you're going to get to Him because He's easy access, and He's right there for us.
All you have to do is call His name.
Yep, and we'll experience the fullness of joy, the fullness of Christ that comes from being in His presence. But we got it, like Johnny's prayer request. I like what he said about, just I want to get more into His presence. I want to know Him more. I want to know His will more. The only way you're going to benefit from this relationship with the Lord is being in that relationship with the Lord.
We're talking about time.
Yeah.
The time factor.
And priorities.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
my prayer life can get sloppy at times, and I get up early in the morning, but I'll start doing other things. And if I don't put my phone down, it's like, oh yeah, I got to remember to do this and do that, and all these types of things. So you got to be really mindful.
Yeah.
You have to be really intentional and really make that prayer time a good time, an effective time with the Lord.
We talked about, they have an app, Fitbit,
Yeah.
that reminds you when you need to start walking, you're
Right.
not active
Yeah.
enough. Or we suggested maybe there should be a prayer bit that just notifies you when, hey, it's time to say a prayer now.
Yeah, you haven't-
It's time
you
to
haven't-
spend some time with God or in
Right.
the Word. It's
Yeah.
time. You
Well-
know, you said it yourself, but it reminds you.
Exactly. And we talked too about, I mean, we got all this technology. You could, I mean,
Right.
I got a little guy that stands up on my smart watch and says, hey, get up and start walking around. Well,
yeah.
we need something on that says, hey,
I'm saying.
take a second, say a little prayer, talk
That's
to
right.
God. But, some of us are good at that anyway, because like, when we're in our car or we're wherever we are, a lot of us are kind of in a conversation mode with the Lord. And that's always great. I always talk to God about different things I see, thank Him. I don't thank Him enough, actually. Usually I pray more to God when something is playing out that ain't great.
And that's not good because guess what? You're going to get more things that are
Right.
that
The
you
Lord's-
need to pray about. If you,
Yeah, the Lord's like, hey, if that's how I get your
yeah,
attention,
that's right.
then
Well, I hate to say it, but
I
it's
might
probably
let some
true.
things come your way.
Yeah.
He doesn't work
Yeah.
like that, thank God. But yeah, just being more mindful that a relationship with the Lord is not just in the morning and in the evening. I always tell the kids when I talk with the kids, like, guys, your prayer life has to be a little bit more than just praying a prayer over your food.
Right.
Right?
Right. But it's a
And-
good start, though.
Yes, for kids, right?
it's a good
sure.
start.
But us as adults and being further along in our relationship with the Lord, we got to get better. We got to get
Well,
better.
we need to practice the presence of God. So when we're doing other things, perhaps we're working or we're raising our families, and they need attention. Still, there's a part of us in our spirit that can commune with God. It's almost, I compare it to like a computer screen where you can have the kind of a lower screen or shut it down a bit where you can still use that app and still work.
Sounds like multitasking.
Yeah. Well, God is still on your mind. It's not on
Right.
your conscious
Sure.
mind, but He's on your spirit mind.
Yep.
And there was a brother in, I think, the 16th century. His name was Brother Lawrence, and he wrote a book called Practicing the Presence of God, I believe.
Okay.
And it was very popular, maybe 20 years ago. But that's what he did. He was known for just always practicing the presence of God.
I like that. Because I usually, 16th century. Wow.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about that too. When we want to hear from the Lord in our prayer time, let's say our quiet time, we're not asking for things, we're not thanking Him for things, but we're just being quiet. We might even have a piece of paper and practice listening to God's voice.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy,
Yeah.
right?
And we did a program on listening to God, and ever since then, I've been practicing that, and I've been picking up on things,
Yeah.
and it has been more exciting of a walk with God because I believe I'm beginning to hear Him more.
Yeah.
Because I'm practicing listening.
Yeah, and not being distracted or learning how to tune out all these other things and just kind of listen to His voice, learning that, hey, that's probably me thinking that, but I know this is from the Lord because it lines up with His Word.
Yeah, you have to take a chance.
You do, and that's why we practice it. Well, we want to encourage our listeners. Thank you again, Johnny, for calling in. If anybody else would like to call in, don't be phone shy. You can email us as well on spell it all out, godshealinganswer@gmail.com. I'll even, if you give me some information there, I'll figure out how to get you an Amazon Prime gift card for chiming in that way. And you can give us your prayer requests or just kind of share with us how your relationship with the Lord has just been so much more full because you've realized that God knows you fully and you have His full attention. We wanted to also help people understand this is a real flowery topic here on how God knows us so well, fully well, but it doesn't mean that our lives go without the challenges. And so we want to make sure that people understand that we're obviously not free from the challenges of life. But in the midst of our storm, the Lord is present. He's very aware of what we're going through, what we're struggling with, and He is there even though it doesn't feel like it.
And we had talked about what the question came up. What do you do in that problem? What is your default setting? Is it fear, anxiety? Is that what you normally your normal reaction to some unpleasant or difficult news.
Yeah. And that's a pretty common thing, I have to say.
Yeah, it's rather natural, unless you change it.
Well, I think it's
to supernatural. It's a natural.
That's a good way to put it, and it helps people to know that, hey, don't feel bad that you feel either fearful, you feel angry, you feel despair, because think of some of the things that play out. I got 3 friends right now, young ladies. They're dealing with cancer right now, and they're young, and I'm just like, Lord, how is this? But we have to remember some things, that this world is tainted because of the evil in it. It goes all the way back to our great grandparents, Adam and Eve. And
Grandpa Adam.
Yeah. And so it's not a perfect world. It's not without sickness. And so things are going to play out, but God promises to be present. He promises to be in the midst of it. It may be a journey. It may be some work to get through it, but God promises He'll be there. And there's a lot of miracles, testimonies of folks that have been through a lot of these same things, and God has walked them through. And I would say that these 3 individuals I'm talking about, God has allowed them to go through a journey, but He is walking them through. They know Him.
Right.
He knows them intimately, and they're getting through it, and it's turning into a miracle.
Yes, and not only is He present in it, but He's given us the power to speak and to pray into it and to change it.
Right. We think about the story in Matthew 14 where we have Peter. Well, all the disciples are on the boat. And it's a beautiful scene out there, but then all of a sudden the wind picks up.
Well, Jesus isn't in the boat this time.
Right, right. He's off the shore. He's on the shore, and the winds all of a sudden kick up, and the swells pick up. It might even be the evening. I'm not sure, but that's even worse, right? It's dark.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's much worse.
And I remember one time being on the river where my family would go on vacation. It's a big river and slow moving, and when the wind, it's really smooth, but when that wind picks up, I mean, 5-foot swells. That the whole scene is totally different than what you know.
It's unreal, yeah.
That's what was playing out here. And Peter and the disciples, they see an individual or something.
I believe it was night because they thought it was a ghost coming.
Okay, all right. So, and they're fearful, but then Peter, for whatever reason, he says, "Lord, is that you?" And they already know him to be a man of miracles. So it's like, Lord, is that you? And if it's you, call me to come to you. And Jesus calls him to come to him. And for whatever reason, Peter has this great faith. I mean, you're asking a lot to step out of the boat and live by this kind of faith and think that you can walk on water. But the Lord tells him to do it, and he follows his instructions, and he starts walking on water miraculously. And then, of course, he gets his eyes off of Jesus, and the fear develops, and he starts to sink. And, of course, the waves are crazy and wild, and, of course, it's loud, I'm sure, and so he's scared.
Yeah.
But, of course, what does Jesus do? He doesn't leave him. He doesn't say, "Well, I'm just trying to teach you a lesson here. You're gonna go down in the water, swim back to the boat, and I'm gonna go another direction. I'm just trying to teach you a lesson here to trust me, right?" And so the Lord doesn't do that. What does he do? He reaches out his hands in the midst of Peter's struggle, in the midst of Peter's trauma, trial, situation, and shows him that I'm here with you, and don't be afraid. And he grabs his hand and walks him back to the boat. And that is a kind of a picture of our life and how things do play out. We'll probably never have to walk on water, I'm sure.
But we often feel like, we're sinking.
Yeah.
We're sinking, Lord. I'm sinking.
Right.
Where are you?
Yep. And we just need to know and realize, listeners know and realize today, God knows you intimately in the good times, in the quiet times, in our prayer time, but he also knows you. He's right there with you when things get a little crazy, when the waves are crashing in your life. And unfortunately, in this unperfect world, that plays out quite a bit. Yeah. And so that's what we can learn today, to trust him in all of our ways. He loves us so much, he knows us so well that he knit us together in our mother's innermost being. That's how well he knows you.
Knit one, pearl two.
Yeah, if that's how it works. But if you could read Psalm 139 verses 13, and it just talks about how He knit us together. If we jump down to verse 16, it says, "Your eyes saw my unformed body; all the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be."
I love that.
That's detail.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. So if we stick close to the Lord, He will guide us and lead us. I wish we could hear His voice audibly. I wish we could see Him. Sometimes that does play out for some. I can't say I've ever really seen the Lord. I haven't heard His voice. But He definitely is there. And if your prayer is, "Lord, I want what you want," then He is going to guide you, lead you, and take you to that place where for His will to be done. Any last thoughts, Mary?
Well, I just want to thank our listeners for keeping us company today, and I would also like to thank our supporters that make this program possible.
Yeah. There's several of them. We want to thank you, and we want your default setting when things play out in your life to, if you get kind of goofed up and fumbled up a little bit in your head, remember God is there. He's with you. He'll walk you through it, and think of all the great things He's done in
Amen.
the past.
That's right.
Well, God bless you all.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Thank you for being here today on God's Healing Answer. Please be with us again next week. We look forward to spending time with you. God bless.
Thank you for joining us today on God's Healing Answer. We would love to hear any feedback you may have by reaching out to us at godshealinganswer@gmail.com. And if you're looking for a Bible-based church, come join us at Trinity Life Center for a 10 a.m. service on Sundays at 1000 East St. Louis Avenue with our lead pastor, Randy Greer. We look forward to spending more time with you next week. So until then, know that Jesus is God's healing answer.